And we're live. Hey, what is up, everyone? My name is Josh Carney. Welcome to the stream. Most of y'all know me as Music Tech Help Guy on YouTube. And if this is not your first live stream, welcome back. If it is your first stream and you're new to all of this, we do live streams every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can submit your tracks by signing up for a free Boombox account. Upload your track to the submission link, and then I'll listen to it on next Friday's stream. If you want to get in on this, we have very few submissions today, so if you have a track that you want to submit, I will leave a link to it in the chat right now, so you can upload it. You do not have to do a paid Boombox account. You can do this with just a free Boombox account, but you do have to have a Boombox account in order to do this. Some weeks things get really busy when you end up with like 20 or 30 or 40 submissions. In those weeks, well, not that you would know that it's coming, but if you want to make sure to get your submission in early, you can check the community page on my YouTube channel on Wednesdays of each week, where I post the link in advance where you can upload your track. Try to just do one track per week. Unless it's like a slow week, we can, we might be able to look at, 2 or maybe even 3, depending on how many folks have submitted their tracks that week. And then, this stream is all about creativity and constantly improving your mixes and your productions. Even from as a professional, I'm constantly revising my projects. I'll get to a final mix, and then I'll usually have 3 to 7 more revisions. So, when I give mix critiques, when I give production feedback in this stream, I don't want you to think that I'm attacking you or attacking your abilities. It's purely meant to be constructive, positive feedback and criticism that you can use to go back and revise your productions. And again, the opinions I'm giving are not the gospel. These are just, my own opinions. What would I do with your song if it was my song? So let's try to, again, make sure that this is like a positive, forward-thinking place where we can all listen and grow and, continue enjoying working in music and audio production like we all do. Now, before we get started, I have to let you know that these streams are sponsored by Boombox. You can sign up for a free Boombox account at boombox.io. Boombox is a really cool place. It's a really cool platform because it's like sort of an all-in-one platform for music makers, musicians, bands, producers, artists, mix engineers. And the great thing about Boombox is you can sign up, start a project, find a collaborator or work with collaborators or other musicians or other bandmates, and you can upload your project. You can actually upload full Logic or DAW sessions as well. Upload your project as a WAV file so people can stream it and can listen to it. They can leave custom time-stamped feedback on the track. And after you're done working on a project, you can actually distribute your project because Boombox now has distribution built right in. So these features are more in the Pro and Premium plans, but there's other things like an AI stem splitter. You can do advanced file search. You can timestamp comments is free, but you can do other things like royalty splits, contracts. You can also collaborate with 60,000 other artists on the Boombox platform. So if you're looking for a singer or a guitar player or a drummer, there's probably someone on there who's looking to collab with you. So again, a huge thanks to Boombox for sponsoring these streams. If you want to get in on a Pro or Premium plan, I will leave a link. I'll grab that link right here. I'll leave a link to that in the video, not the video description, in the chat here. And not only does that help support the channel, because it's an affiliate link, it also keeps the sort of Boombox ecosystem growing and allows me to continue to do these streams for you all every Friday. Okay, so without any further ado, let's jump right in to this week's submissions. Let's refresh the page here. And we don't have many, so it's probably going to be kind of a shorter stream. We've got a couple that are duplicates here, so we really don't have much. So if you want to get your music heard, today is a slow day on the stream, so feel free to use the links that I've pasted into the chat to upload your track. It just has to be the WAV MP3 format. I cannot take links to SoundCloud or other things like that. So, okay, let's jump in here with the very first track, All Together Now, from Tashad Noor. Tashad says, this is a work in progress. The synth bass is a bit off sync in the beginning due to a plugin issue. Working on it. Scheduled for release in February. Any comments are welcome. Not mastered. Still working on the arrangement and mix. Awesome. We'll give it a listen. So All Together Now from Tashad Noor. Yeah, cool stuff. You know, Tashad always brings us bangers every week. So this is another one. Yeah, so this one's like not unlike the other stuff that Tashad's brought us. This one's not mixed, really fully mixed, and it's not mastered. A few things I would do. The vocal, it seems like it's colliding in the same range as some of the instruments, and I don't necessarily think you need to pull up the vocal. I think maybe you just need to add a little more top end to, you know, bring out the clarity and bring out some of the sibilants and consonants a little bit better. I really like the singer's voice, so honestly, I'd tune back the vocal tuning a little bit. I don't know if you're using Melodyne or Auto-Tune, but there's a few spots where the tuning is like really noticeable. Let me jump back to this section real quick. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, like in this section, I can really... Like right there, that I don't want to waste another night. There's something, it's like the notes are moving so fast that I think the vocal tuning can't keep up. So I would maybe, even just in that section, maybe dial back the tuning a little bit. I'm not sure if you're using Auto-Tune or Metatune or Melodyne, but one of the things I do when I do use Auto-Tune or Metatune is I'll split up the lead vocal. I'll put the lead vocal on one track with the tuning, and then I'll have another track below it where I can cut out certain parts that just aren't like, they're not taking the tuning plugin very well. And so you can sort of pull things out of the tuning, or you can use like a gentler tuning on that particular track. But yeah, there's something about, someone's saying the less about the Auto-Tune, more the harmonies clashing. Yeah, there's something weird about the vocal that's clashing with the that's clashing with the instrumental a little bit. It's not, I don't think it's out of tune or anything. I don't think it's like a compositional thing. I just think maybe there's like a frequency. I think there's like a frequency issue there. I would filter out the low end in the guitar a little bit and boost the top end, because the keys and like the synths and keys and the guitar are kind of in the same range, and they're almost like functioning as the same instrument. They are playing kind of the same thing, but just to kind of give it a little bit more space, I would maybe boost the highs in the guitar, filter the lows. And then like, I mean, the beat is really hot. I like the vocal. Like I said, I would just kind of prefer like a little less tuning. Let's check out this last section here one more time. You know what? I almost wonder if maybe the clashing, I almost wonder if the vocal clashing is not so much like the tuning even. It's I think it's almost like, how do I put it? It's almost like the vocal is a little over compressed, and like if you dial back the compression, like this happens to me all the time. I'll finish a mix, I'll get to the very end, and I'm like, hey, that sounds pretty good. And then I send it over to the artist and they're like, yeah, the mix sounds good, but I can't really understand what I'm saying. And I'm like, the vocal isn't, soft, it's up in the mix. And I go revisit my vocal compression and I realize I've got all of them set to 100%. So, maybe dial back the compression on the vocal a little bit as well. And then, maybe do like a mix blend of like 60-40 or 70-30 or something like that, just to let some of the transients come through. I mean, when I mix vocals, the vocals end up seeing by the very end, they might see 3 stages of compression, like an LA2 style optical compression, an 1176 or some sort of like digital like fast acting or FET like compression, just to kind of tame the transients, and then maybe another compressor on the entire vocal bus. And so, you know, if you're like me and you use a lot of different stages of compression, you have to go back to that compression later and realize that maybe some of the diction and the clarity is not coming through because of the compression. So what I'll usually end up doing is dialing back the parallel compression or the mix blend on those plugins to just kind of blend in, you know, the compression and not have it at 100%, because that will let some of the more transient, more consonant heavy areas come through in the mix. But as always, Tashad, I mean, a great track, fantastic writing. It's very engaging. It's very catchy, and you said it's coming out in February, so you got some time to clean things up. Mix on the instrumental is pretty good. It's mono compatible. Bass, you know, the relative bass compared to everything else sounds good. So cool. There we go. Now we're getting some more. Okay, let's move to and again, I always listen to these just in the order that I receive them. So we'll do this. So I didn't listen to them in order. Okay, so let's go back to Isaac Synth. 2 tracks with the same name. I'm assuming let's do number 2. Let me see. Number 1 said ignore this one. Okay, so we're gonna check out this one. Nuevo Chill, Final Master 2 from Isaac Synth. Hi, Josh. This is a synthwave, chill wave track. I hope you enjoyed the mix. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Awesome. Let's give it a listen. Yeah, I mean, personally, at the very end here, though, let's listen to that one more time. How do I do that? There we go. I almost feel like you could just on that do do da da or do 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 da. You know what I mean? It's like there's one or two more notes on the end that I think are making that sort of like tail end delay a little weird for me, but like otherwise, I think the mix is good. Some of these like softer sections, though, they sound like really soft in relation to the rest of the track. You know, on one hand, you could say, oh, that's just giving it more dynamics. But when these sections are, you know, pretty heavily limited and the volume level's pretty high, and then you just have something that's like super quiet, it's like night and day. Like I almost feel like I need like a middle ground. Like I almost, again, I like the balance of everything. I like all of your sound design. I like the beat. I'm a sucker for synthwave. And I'm a sucker for this kind of music. This is like definitely something I would listen to on like my morning walk or something. But it feels like these sections are maybe a little too heavily limited, and then these sections are a little too soft. So I almost like, I'm not sure what level you're mastering to. You know, and again, you shouldn't like master to a number. You should master to the song or master to the album or the EP. But, you know, most of the time these days, my masters don't go above like -10. Well, I'll say -9 LUFS or LUFS. You know, I'm sure, like, based on the song, I'm sure you know what a loudness meter is. But yeah, I would maybe check your loudness in these bigger sections and just make sure that you're not up in like the -8 area. You know what I mean? And then I would just bring up the volume of these sections. I mean, it's not like awful or anything. It sounds good. Don't get me wrong. But you know, when you start really pushing the loudness, sometimes you lose clarity. Things start to distort or saturate in a not so great way. But I love all the sound design. For me, I think it almost needs like one more section, or needs like something that's not a bridge like this, that is something contrasting, like something that and I know this whole section moves to a different harmony, or like a different tone, not a tonic, but a different chord, right, or a different bass tone. But I just kind of feel like it needs something else. It needs like it has melodies. It's got the arpeggiated melodies, and then about halfway through here, we get like an actual melody. I don't know, I just feel like it needs something else. I feel like it needs one more section, and maybe even like shorten some of these sections. You know what I mean? So no, I mean, overall, mix is good. I like the track. I like the vibe of the track. I would pull up these softer sections, check your loudness on these louder sections, you know, think about adding another contrasting section. Let's listen to the end one more time real quick. Let's check mono compatibility too. Yeah, I think there's these like side chord ideas going dun 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 or something along those lines. They're getting a little bit lost in mono, but I think that's to be expected. Almost everything else is doing really well. So like when I listen to a mix, you know, I've said this in other streams, but just to kind of like recap, what I'm listening for is, one, does the musical balance sound good to me? Can I hear everything? Is it over compressed? Is it under compressed, or over limited, under limited? I mix on Aventone CLA 10, so they're very mid range forward. So if something is sort of shrill and biting to my ear, I'm going to hear it on these speakers. They are not as forgiving as other speakers. And I also I'm reffing the bass just to kind of like make sure that the bass level seems loud enough. And then usually after I mix something, I go listen to on my Apple earbuds, the AirPods Pro, and those are actually pretty decent earbuds and a pretty decent, judge of character if you're looking to kind of see what it's going to sound like on the consumer end. But yeah, overall, I love the style. I love synthwave music. So, you got me there. Good work. All right, let's move on to, we already got all together now. Let's move on to Sam Splatter. John loves salsa. Oh my God. Okay. 40 seconds. Obviously, this song is perfect. Think of this as a short palate cleanser between better songs. Oh, what am I getting myself into? It sounds like you set up no, excuse me. This song is perfect. This is the perfect production. It's an instant classic. It's right up there with Led Zeppelin 4, Yeah, it sounds kind of like I know when I'm being trolled. So funny, but I don't really know what to give you in terms of mix production on this. It sounds like you set up your phone in front of your band in a rehearsal space and recorded a spoof song, and that's totally fine. I mean, Frank Zappa did it, and he did all sorts of great things with it. Okay, let's move on. So we got a couple of them here from Nettle. We've got Grief is Required for Happiness 2 and Analog Simulation. So let's listen. So I'm assuming we don't need to listen to the first one. I'm assuming the second one is the one we need to give a listen to. So let's give this a listen. Nettle says, my first song produced with much of the tips given in your Logic Pro Essentials course. Thank you so much. Been learning music production for about 6 months now. Not sure if we will add vocals. The song was made in memory of my cat that passed away in October of last year. Sorry to hear about that. I am a huge animal fan. I'm more of a dog guy myself, and I'm like deathly allergic to cats. But let's give this let's give it a listen. Nettle, Grief is Required for Happiness. Okay, a few comments. So first and foremost, I would say consider writing some vocals for this, and also consider maybe adding another section that kind of. And again, I repeat myself here, but I would consider maybe you know writing a contrary, a contrasting section maybe in here somewhere that just takes the bass or the chords to a different place. In terms of the melody, you've got this little sort of plucked synth melody. I would minimize that and not do as much with that, and then maybe focus on some lyrics for it. And look, it's a song about your animal that is no longer with you, but you don't necessarily have to write lyrics about that specifically. Sometimes a song title is enough to emote a feeling or to give you like lyrical inspiration. At least it does for me. I've had things happen in my life that are completely horrible, but I wouldn't write a song about them directly, but then instead what I do is I take that energy and that feeling and I pump it into something more positive. And the lyrics I write for it are not necessarily specifically about a situation that I experienced that hurt me or, gave me trauma in my life or something. But then I take that, and I kind of transform it into something else. If that makes any sense, where it's like the feelings I felt at that time inspire me to write certain lyrics that may or may not have anything to do with the original feeling. So I would consider that. I think you could definitely do that. A couple other just like arrangement, production things I would do. There's a little woodblock sample. If you're going to use that, I would add a lot of reverb to it just to make it kind of match the aesthetic of everything else. The water effect, it just ends abruptly right here. I would slowly tail that out, fade it out, and I would never bring it back in. I would, in its place over here, maybe add a synth pad or some chords or something to reinforce what you've got going on over here. But yeah, I would dovetail out that water sound effect the best you can. And this is something like, it's not even a production thing. It's something I learned from my scoring and composition instructor in college. He always talked about dovetailing things into each other. Like, if the song is kind of smooth and soft and, not like really hard and really pointed and in your face, it's difficult to just end a musical idea abruptly, or in this case, like a sample that's playing in the background. So you sort of dovetail things in and out. You fade them in, fade them out, or you make them sort of blend into each other so you don't notice that they're gone, which could tie into even the name of the song. And at the end, like you bring in the sound effect again over here. If you want that water sound effect at the very end, I would slowly fade it back in for the ending is what I would do. I'm not going to give a mixed critique on it because it's still I guess it's a work in progress. It's your first song too. So mix isn't bad or anything. It's just very minimal, So yeah, maybe consider writing some lyrics for this, especially with the emotion of the, what's going on in your life. Okay, let's go to Nettle has another one. Is it Nettle? Yeah, Nettle. Analogic simulation. First mini electronic song ever. Testing out the genre. Just wanted to do a minute-long song to test my new studio headphones. Might expand on it and make it a full length another time. Okay, let's give it a listen. Yeah. So again, it's a work in progress. So it's only a minute song. This section right here, even coming all the way over to here, some of the ideas are kind of clashing with each other. That sort of like sequenced chord idea that's going throughout there, it's already taking up a lot of space, and then you bring in another instrument that I guess is sort of serving as a melody, but it's just kind of following the bass line or the chord progression. I would just take that out or find something else to go there. But I really do love this ending. I love whatever, like this balance with the piano. I really like that. Let's listen to that again. In the beginning too, I like the intro as well. Let's just listen to that ending again. Yeah, you've got some really cool sound design ideas here and in the intro. I would maybe focus on these a little bit more, and I would maybe rewrite this. I know that sounds horrible, like, hey, cut out the whole middle part of your song, but since it's a work in progress, I think that's fair. I think your intro and outro are cool. I would just expand on what you've got going on in the middle and maybe sort of reduce things down. And that, I don't know, that filtered synth, and I'm guilty of this too, because I did a bunch of stuff back in the day where I used these like sequenced synth sound chord sounds, and I don't know, some of them come across as a little cheesy. I guess it's just the setting more so than the musical idea, you know what I mean? It's just like, maybe try a different patch that's not so I think I said filtered before, unfiltered. It's just like, I don't know, it's just a little weird sounding to me. So maybe try to rework that middle section with some new things and expand it out with some other sections. So cool. Thanks, Nettle. Let's move on. Okay, so we're building up a few here now. Let's go to Lone Sword Productions, Carry You Home. Still trying to train my ears. Mixed and mastered myself, not a pro. Vocals were recorded about 20 years ago when I had no clue what I was doing. Appreciate any constructive criticism. Wow, okay. You know what's funny is when I first started, like I said, I'm going to be 40 this year. I think I made my first MIDI recordings when I was like 14. And then I made my first like audio recordings when I was like 17 in high school. And back then it was like I was recording. There was no DAW. I didn't have a DAW. I didn't even have a computer that could run a DAW. I had a little Tascam 4-channel tape recorder, and I would go down to Radio Shack and I would buy a whole bunch of high quality tape that supported multi-track, like cassette tapes. I'd pop it in. I'd record a left and a right guitar part. It was 2-channel or 4-channel. I'd pan those. I'd record in a bass, and then I would record in a vocal, and then I would take all of that and I would sum it down to 1 channel, or no, to 2 channels, to stereo. And then I would put programmed drums in stereo on channels 3 and 4. That's how I made some of my first recordings. But let's see what this 20-year-old recording sounds like.
These ears have heard, where these feet have been. It's inconceivable to you what this brain has thought, or what this body's been through. Well, take me take me higher. Seas that were never sown, love that was never shown, something along the way picked you up and carried you home. Love that was never shown, seas that was never shown, something along the way picked you up and carried you home. It doesn't matter what the people say.
So I kind of get what you're going for. Like I get the vibe you're going for, but I think so far, at least in this first section, it seems like a lot of the musical ideas really don't like lock in together. Like they're kind of all doing their own thing. The vocal, it seems like the vocal has a pretty set tempo to it but it's just like the musical arrangement doesn't seem to be following it very well. Like I kind of get, like I said, I kind of get the vibe you're going for. This like wah pedal kind of like slow funk thing with some keyboards. You know, what I would consider doing, and again, I haven't listened to the whole thing, I will, but you know, just my first impression is I would consider like trying to arrange this as like a soul or an R&B type track. Like if you're using Logic, I would like dip into drummer, you know, get a nice like sort of R&B groove, establish what the tempo is, like the true tempo and form is with the vocals. And it's tough with a vocal recording that was done a long time ago, or like a vocal stem or a multi-track, because you may or may not know exactly what each section is and where it needs to go. You know, vocals aren't like drums or other instruments where like the transients are really noticeable. So it's not always as easy to kind of just throw it in a project and like figure out what section is what. But I think that needs to be done. I would maybe rethink your musical arrangement as more of like a soul R&B funk kind of thing. But let's keep listening.
Picked you up and carried you home. It doesn't matter what the people say. The big cats run the show. It's always been this way. It doesn't matter what we do. Much.
Yeah, so like, you know, with the I can hear that the drums and the vocals are like doing their thing, like they're in time, but it's like by 2 minutes in, I want to hear like something in the drum kit to establish a groove and some forward momentum to make these musical ideas lock in together and really, you know, come together.
Through the streets, voting red or voting blue. Take me up, take me higher.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I would you have a really good vocal hook in here, like pick me up and carry me home, all that kind of stuff. Like you've got a good vocal in there. I would rearrange everything, all the instrumentation to be subservient to the vocal and let the vocal be the lead instrument here. Here it sounds like the vocal is like the least important instrument. So I would think about that in terms of mixing, but also in terms of the arrangement. Like I said, you've got a good vocal here. It needs some production. It needs some compression and EQ to bring it out. There's a couple pitchy spots. There's a couple little editing things that need to be worked around, but like you have a good vocal, and it's the bass line. I don't mind. I like the bass line. The keys. I like the keys. The rhythm, the sort of wah guitar that's going. I would dial that way back, and I would make that subservient to the rest of the arrangement too, just in certain spots. I'd get a nice rhythm guitar track in there, and I would also like think about replacing the electronic drums with more like an R&B style, soul style acoustic drum kit. Because to me, that's the when I listen to that vocal, that is the genre I'm hearing. So it's almost like it's like when you put together a big puzzle and there's like 50 pieces left out. That's kind of what it sounds like. It sounds like it's not like you've got some good ideas, but they're not quite constructed yet. So that would be my feedback. I would go back and think about what to do with the arrangement and make the arrangement really benefit the vocal and really follow the vocal. So cool. Let's move on to Michael Varney. Can't You Hear? This is my first track, and my challenge for this year to do one song per week. Rules is I have to get something out on the channel and learn from the feedback. Eventually, I will also do vocals and lyrics if the song merits it. I'll progress and will progress to my own compositions. I performed all the parts except about 70% of the drums myself. And this time, the mix should be audible to you. This is also D Mixolydian, but Boombox thinks it's G. D, just so everyone knows, D Mixolydian is essentially take a major scale. So D major would be D, E, F sharp, A, B, C sharp, D. Mixolydian takes the 7th scale degree and lowers a half step. So it's like having major, but the 7th note is lowered by a half step. Okay, let's give it a listen. Can't You Hear by Michael Varney. Yeah, I would, the bass is really loud in the mix. When there's not like a whole lot going on in the arrangement, that it really stands out like a sore thumb. I would pull down the bass, or at least sort of de-emphasize it with an EQ. It's pretty repetitive. But if this is like a song starter or like the beginning of a project, that's totally fine. Definitely needs some lyrics and some melodic ideas. I would get away from that flute as your main melodic idea throughout and just use it sparingly in certain sections. But really what you need here, because it's so repetitive, is you need like 2 more sections that are completely contrasting, different chord progression, maybe different arrangement, and a completely different drum beat in those sections. Because otherwise, from here to here, you're going to lose people. Even if there are vocals in there, you're going to lose people. That's 2 minutes of essentially the same thing. So, I would think about really expanding this out with like 2 more unique sections and try to build like a verse, pre-chorus, chorus type of arrangement. I'm not saying all songs have to be verse, pre-chorus, chorus, but like try to think about things like that, like 8 bars verse, 8 bars pre-chorus, 8 bars chorus, find a way to get back to the verse. This section that's here right now could be the verse, you know what I mean? And then build another section that moves harmonically to another chord or another bass tone, and then, build up the tension and make that a pre-chorus, and then maybe come back to this same chord progression with a heavier, more complex musical arrangement, maybe some more guitars. There's guitars in there, I can tell, but they're like really, really way back in the mix. I would make the organ more in the back and make the guitar more out front. So, and again, just my opinion, I think doing 1 song per week is going to be a challenge that, for me personally, would be impossible. I would try to focus on maybe doing 1 song per month, because I think that a lot of people don't realize how many revisions you have to go through to get to a complete track, to get to a complete song. I've got a single that's dropping. Shameless plug. I got a single that's dropping the week after NAMM, the Monday after NAMM. I think it's the 27th. And I've got a music video that's coming out with it and everything. And that track, no lie, took me 8 months from beginning to end. I started the track as part of a YouTube series on writing songs, completely botched that particular musical idea, started over, took the guts of that song, the parts that I liked the best, reorganized them into a new song, finished the arrangement, hired a demo singer, hired the studio vocalist, did some more arrangement, did some more mixing, spent 2 months like cleaning up transitions and the mastering and fixing other things in the mix that I didn't like. And then finally, like last week, I got the song finalized. So, I would give yourself a little more time personally. I'd say like 1 song per month maybe gives you more time to focus more on quality and not necessarily quantity. Although there is something to repetition and getting fluent at getting musical ideas out. It's not just a skill that people just have. So yeah, good start. I would, again, flesh this out into, a multi-section, composition and shorten this idea. Maybe just, like I said, allow your OBS to find, I'm going to say don't allow for now. Hopefully I don't get disconnected or something. Yeah, I would think of this main idea here as like your verse, and now compose a pre-chorus, a chorus, and a bridge, and then that's your song, and then you add lyrics to it, or add lyrics or write lyrics along the way. So cool. Thanks, Michael. Let me just make sure that, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm still on stream. Okay. I was doing some weird stuff there. So, okay, let's come down here. There's Michael Varney, Ray Garcia, Sides remix submission, Good Lovin' by Red Ray Garcia. Okay, let's give it a listen. Oh, this is like Sides did a remix contest. Okay, let's give it a listen.
Ooh,
Yeah, so I don't know how much you were given. I don't know how many of these tracks were part, because it said, it's part of a remix competition, right? So I'm wondering how much of the instrumental and the vocal you were given, because it sounds like just one vocal idea. Like I don't hear a verse, I don't hear bridge vocals, I just hear a hook. So if that's what you're given, I think you're gonna have to. So when you have music like this, where you have like one section of vocals, especially like this happened a lot in like EDM genres, like back in the day, like dance music. It's like you've got one vocal, and then your chorus isn't really a chorus vocal. It's more like the beat drops, and there's some interesting danceable musical idea. I would say if you are working with minimal lyrics or minimal vocals like this, I think you're going to have to do something a little bit more engaging with like the beat drop. You know what I mean? Because it's like, let's go back to the beginning here.
All I need is good, good loving. All I need is good, good loving. All I need is good, good loving. All I need is good, good loving.
Like that section right there is going to need to have like 5 times more impact than you have. Because it's kind of like you're just taking the same musical idea you have here with the vocal, and you're expanding it out as like an instrumental drop. And there's nothing wrong with that. What I would say is either take this section down a notch and then come in with your idea here, or find a different musical idea for your drop that really hits hard and is like an obvious scene change away from the previous section. Let me just listen a little more.
Good loving.
And also, one thing I mentioned down here is I think your bass synth is like really low, and I realize you can't really change the key. You have to work with the key you're given. But like the fundamental of that particular synth patch is like not propagating the driver on my subwoofer. So like without a sub in, let me just kick out the sub. We'll just listen on regular speakers. I mean, it's there. It's, you know, sometimes I mean, I'd either pick a different patch for the bass or like maybe reinforce some of those low notes with octaves, just something to kind of like make sure that that note is clearly heard, because that bottom note's just really, really low. But yeah, let's keep going. It's almost like this section right here, your middle section, is what should be like a build up, you know what I mean, for the vocals in all sections. You know, maybe not in all sections, but like maybe take back the arrangement a little bit, strip it back here, let the vocal be like really kind of like kind of like not sparse, but like kind of like exposed, right? Then your big old beat drop right here. Then you've got a build up, and then that comes back into the beat. I almost feel like this needs to be like a heck of a lot longer. Like think of like a trance buildup, or like a, you know, breakdown section where, you know, that it's like 16 bars of, or well, some trance songs, it's like 32 bars of buildup, but like 16, 8 bar, at least 8 bars. It's probably not 8 bars, but like 16 bars of buildup or something. I think this middle section is the strongest section here, so I would expand that out. I'd make your drops a little bit harder, like do something with it just to make them more distinguished from this intro section here. Let's listen to that middle section one more time. I like the beat though, Ray. I really do. I like the beat. It's got like sort of like an electro kind of sound to it, which I'm really into. I love like electro house type stuff. Is this one of those things where she gave you guys like one vocal sample and said go ham with it? If so, good work. You know, I don't, like I said, I don't know how much of the original the instrumentals you were given for the remix, but yeah, I like the beat. Just maybe a few little arrangement changes, and then maybe fix up that bass a little bit. Cool, thanks, Ray. Let's move on to. Not gonna even try to say that. Bajo Kib. Okay, I'm gonna say it. Bajo Kib 0. Let's give it a listen. This is sort of a nod to the 2010 era type trance music. It seems like this style is coming back recently. For me, it never went away, though. Hope it sounds good on stream. Thanks for your time. Yeah, like, I can tell this is like, that's a trance, like, going back to the previous track, that's a trance buildup. You know what I mean? I can tell that's what it is. It's a breakdown to, like, minimal instrumentation, and then it slowly builds up and builds emotion. You know, maybe think about that a little bit, Ray. Okay, let's check out Bajo Kib's 0. First of all, I really love that. I like that you build up in the very first 4 bars, you build up the chords, and then it comes back down. And I can tell you're going to build it up again, and then it's going to come back down, and then it's going to build into something. So, yeah, dynamics, man. Let's listen to that again. Sorry. Yeah, I love it. I love the track. I love all the dynamics to it. You know, the arrangement's not like overly complex or anything. It just needs a vocal. You know what I mean? All you need on this is a vocal. The only like, I mean, the mix is on point. Some of your like some of your like side synths, like your synth pads and stuff, they're on the outer edge of the mix. They're disappearing in mono. Again, the little mix trick that I use for that is I'll take anti-phase elements that are having trouble staying in the mix in mono, and what I'll do is I'll slap a send on those elements. I'll send a little bit of that signal over to a mono bus that's dead center, and I'll call it like a mono bus. You know what I mean? Just for that track, or just for those tracks, right? And then you just barely pull it up in the mix, and then when you go to mono, the side information gets canceled out, but that little bit of center information that you bust over to a mono bus, it's still going to go through all the same phase interactions that the left and right do, but because it's collapsed to mono, you can actually control the volume level. And when you cut back to mono, when that side information disappears, the center still remains, and it may be something that's so low in the mix that you don't even hear it. But then when you go to mono, you're like, oh, there are those side synths. They're in this mono bus in the center of my mix. So maybe think about doing something like that. Right here at the beginning of like the breakdown, right on that noise crash, that psh, I'd add like an 808 drop or something, just real soft, like boom, you know, just something to give it a little bit of an impact, but not a hard impact, you know, not like a hard kick, just like a soft, like boom, just to kind of accent that a little bit. I like the delayed beat drop. I would love to see what this sounds like with vocals on it, because I think a lot of the space you're leaving here is good. Like, space isn't bad. Space is a good thing. You're leaving room for the vocal. You're leaving room for the arrangement to grow. So, yeah, good work. Good work. Okay, let's move on to is that Ilian? Is it II? Is it ILI? Ilian Gang. Raptors. Master 5. Hey, Music Tech Help Guy. Thank you so much for making your tutorials. They help a lot. This song is from my first EP I released last year, and I'd love to get your feedback on it. Yours, Ilian. Yeah, so it's Ilian. Okay, let's give it a listen. Raptors.
Lately I was dreaming of the feeling being lost, floating without vision in the hazy mist. Little raptors on the ground that wait for me to fall down. I will find myself in trouble. Wanna hide myself in my shadows. I open my mouth to let them out. These little raptors that scratch me down. When you witness the fight in your mind, don't keep it hidden from the outside. Stay hidden on the outside. It's all forgiven. Now it's your time. Don't stay hidden on the outside. It's all forgiven. Now it's your time. Don't stay hidden on the outside. time you find Raptors' eyes open wide outside your mind.
Okay, you know, you have a very unique style, you have a very unique voice, and you have a very unique sort of compositional style. I'll give you that. You said you already released this, so like nothing I'm going to say is going to change the release, but if you were to hand this to me today and said, "Hey Josh, I need this mixed and mastered." The first thing I would do is I would go through your vocal track with a fine-tooth comb, and I would edit it up. I would denoise. I would, you know, declick. I would do a lot of things because I can hear a lot of the noise and the headphone bleed in your track, or in your vocal track. There's like a lot of hiss and things like that, and little noises I'm hearing. At the end here, I can actually hear the metronome in the vocal track a little bit there. So all of these are things that need to be cleaned up, and like, you know, you would be surprised how much time I spend on the vocal of a song versus the instrumental of a song when it comes to mixing. It's about 50-50. If I spend, you know, 4 hours working, 3-4 hours working on mixing the instrumental, I'm probably going to spend another 3 or 4 hours mixing the vocal. And that will also often include going through the vocal track with a fine-tooth comb, getting rid of all noise, denoising things that need to be denoised. You have a very unique voice, and there's one part in particular I want to point out here.
Little raptors on the ground that wait for me to fall down. I will find myself.
This right here, when you're up in that high range, you've got to, you know, even if you don't do anything with my feedback for this song and future songs, you've got to experiment with that range of your voice. It sounds great. It's like the low range, it's kind of iffy to me. Honestly, the ambient vocals throughout, I'm not a fan of, but that vocal right there, like this vocal part, let's go back one more time.
Little raptors on the ground that wait for me to fall down. I will find myself in trouble. Wanna hide myself in my shadows.
Yeah, definitely experiment with this range of your vocals, because I think that's where your gold is going to come from. You know what I mean? That's where the good parts are going to come from in your vocals. Definitely work on getting cleaner vocal recordings, of course, but like that range, like you've got a nice upper range there. You've got like a low bass baritone voice, but when you sing in that upper range, it's super smooth. It's super buttery. And I can tell with the right mic in the right room with the right compressor, it could sound fantastic, you know? So definitely experiment with this range of your voice. It sounds great. But yeah, main criticism here is you got to clean up those vocal recordings. Some backing vocals in like the main, where was that? The backing vocals 220. Yeah, in this section where you get those like long low notes, I'd add like an octave above. You know, but to me, like the mix sounds like a demo. You know what I mean? It sounds like a demo to me. So I think you need still a lot more refining, not just in the vocal, but in the instrumental as well. And there's like a big pause here too, a big instrumental pause before the vocals come back in. So I'd rethink that. I'd maybe think about shortening that. But again, this is all on a track that's already released, so I don't know how much of this is actually going to be helpful, but for future productions, think about some of those things. Okay, let's move on to GDH Music Dream 2. Let's see. Upload sounds a tad abrasive than the original. Okay, let's give it a listen.
Yes, if it's an end, and there we are not quite certain about this end. Because, you know, there are these peculiar faculties of the psyche that it isn't entirely confined to space and time. You can have dreams or visions of the future. You can see round corners and such things. Only ignorance denies these facts. It's quite evident that they do exist. Have existed always. These facts we show that the psyche in part at least, is not dependent upon these confinements. And then what? When the psyche is not under that obligation to live in time and space alone, and obviously it doesn't, and that means a practical continuation of life, of a sort of psychical existence beyond time and space.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. It's 9 minutes long, but this is more of like a dreamy sound design experimental track. This is a track that's not meant to have vocals. It's sort of an extended experience rather than like a traditional, song format, and that's totally fine. This is like something I would like, meditate to or something, or it's something that's like really cinematic, could be used in a cinematic sense. A few little mixed things from me. There's like a palm muted guitar. I'm not even sure if it's really a guitar. It might be a synth. It's like a it's like a palm muted part. And it's here and it's over here. I would pull that up a little bit more to give it a little bit more rhythmic motion, and that sort of like synth bed of pads you have, I would maybe pull those down a little bit to let that guitar, whatever that instrument is, through a little bit. I also think in this whole sort of climactic section at the end, I think your you can really pull up like the kick and snare, like the batter percussion elements to drive the beat home. Let's see what else. I said there was a Picardy third here. It may or may not be a Picardy third. Let's hear it. I love that. I love when you just throw a major chord in there when it's supposed to be minor. Yeah, I think in general, I think some of the mid-range needs a little bit more saturation. I think some people in the comments are saying it seems a little muffled. Yeah, I think I would maybe, yeah, someone says it's a little muffled. I would, yeah, a bit crispier. I don't like the word crispy, but like I know what you mean. Like maybe a little bit more mid-range saturation just to kind of bring out some of the details a little bit. You know, kind of like with, I always compare this to like film and video recording, where like you can get the cleanest, you know, video recording with the best ISO, like the proper ISO with the best lighting, and everything's nice and crisp and clean. But sometimes if you add a little bit of film grain to digital video, it kind of brings out the details a little bit better. And obviously if you're working with film, you have that built in, but it's kind of the same thing in audio for me with like saturation. Like saturation is a little bit of noise that if you solo the noise by itself sounds like complete shit. But if you insert that noise into the mix, that saturation into the mix, it brings out some of the details in a really nice way. So I would maybe consider that. But yeah, very dreamy track. Love the vibe of it. Love all the sound design. So cool. Okay, so where are we? We're at 7:38. We stopped at Dream 2. Oh yeah, okay. So we're gonna get through these last four: Time Is Money, Moonlight, Blackthorn Shuffle, and the Boogeyman, and we're gonna stop at the Boogeyman. So let's check out Time Is Money by Symphony. Let's give it a listen.
I'm staring out the window at you clowns like you painted your faces.
Is this a symphony?
No sound. This side of the glass is my town. This is my domain. Synapses travel at the speed of light through my brain, making connections.
Symphony.
Snitches looking for witness protection. Then they try to sue you for defamation. For your information, I got bars that are recognition. Piano player cause I push keys. I'm out here getting paper like a loose leaf, selling loosies. Now I'm coming up, who's in front of us? Yeah, I'm dangerous, just like Bust a Bus. Lyrics is a must. When I do my thing, get up in the ring, in between the ropes, tell me who is king. So bow down to your highness, my music's timeless. I choke you up and then I put you in the Heimlich. So come and see me. I know girls that go both ways like USB-C. Took my afternoon tea, check my schedule. If you ain't on it, then I gotta see you later. Cause time is money, but that's the dumbest shit they holler. Cause I haven't been able to buy a second with $1. Time is money, but you can't buy it. Every dollar made is still grinding. Grind. We stay on the grind. Time is money, but you can't buy it. Every dollar made is still grinding. Grind. We stay on the grind. My opposition never listen. Jewels be shining on my chest, look how they glisten. Harry Potter, how they hopping on my broom. Still the coolest in the room, leave you sweating like it's noon. Yeah, I'm icy hot, and you might be not. Yin and yang if I throw in the moon. Fresh as sneakers when I'm stepping left to right. Blow the tanner right, flow is dynamite. I'm going up, similar to escalator. The exterminator, unstoppable like Terminator. Driving in the ground, flying in the skies. I keep going till the day of my demise. V12 on the engine, did I mention? Real estate I be renting. Need to buy a couple houses, get my money up. Diamonds yellow like them eggs that be sunny up. Time is money, but you can't buy it. Every dollar means still grinding. Grind. out they muff is good. We the people should be understood. Politicians stuffing money in their pockets while the public barely making needing money for their rockets. Tell me Ukraine need the money, yo. While my son and daughter hungry though. See, I figured it out. These dudes is evil, they be doing shit for the clout. On the interstate doing 100, who taking my route? Speakers inside the car, recreating my voice and putting it out.
Yeah, I mean, the mix is appropriate for the genre. A couple things, mostly with the vocal production. First, I would declick your vocal. The first thing I heard in the beginning was clicks in the vocal recording. It's, you know, it's usually some sort of lip smack or like your tongue hitting the top or bottom of your mouth. So I'd declick your vocal a little bit. I don't think you need auto-tune on throughout the track. It sounds like you've got it on all the time. I would, kind of like I suggested to someone else earlier, I'd take your vocal track and then create another track with auto-tune on and only pull down the sung sections that you want to tune. Because honestly, I think the auto-tune makes your rapped vocals sound worse. I would rather hear just your natural voice or a very slightly auto-tuned rap vocal over hearing, you know, the way it is now. So I don't really think you need much auto-tune at all, maybe except for the, you know, the tune or the sung parts. You've got a nice hook, but it's like it's hard. Like when you hear the hook of a song, you want to know that the hook is there. You know what I mean? You want to know we're in the hook right now. We're in the chorus of the song. So I think you need some vocal layers on that. Usually what I do is I'll sing, or I have the artist sing the lead vocal. I'll have them sing 2 more lead vocals with a little bit less intensity, but still in unison, and then do 2 more vocals up an octave if they can. If it's a male vocalist, get them to do some falsetto, or bring in a female vocalist to sing those top sections and then layer them all together. Because then as soon as that hook comes in, you're going to hear all 5 voices, and you're going to know, oh, that's the hook. That's the part, that's the memorable part of the song. Without it, the hook doesn't really have as much impact as I think it could have. At the very end here, I think there's 2 main issues at the end. The first is I think the outro drags for too long. I'd cut this whole section in half. I would even consider this section your final vocal part. I would make that tail right into the instrumental where all the beat drops out. But another problem, I think, is the rhythmic execution of this section doesn't quite line up for me. It seems like it's a little random. I think you need to go back in and maybe find a different spot to work that rhythm in. But again, I would take this whole outro and I'd cut it in half. So cool. Thanks, Symphony. Let's move on to Moonlight from Weird Music. Moonlight from Weird Music. Cool stuff. You know, I really like the track itself. You know, as you guys know, I love metal. I was in a metal band. I am in a metal band, and you know, uh, I like the writing. You're obviously all great players. The soloing is great. I like the instrumental arrangement for, you know, I don't think it needs a vocal. I think it's fine as an instrumental. I think the main thing here, and you can see in my comments, I kind of was going back and forth, but it's like the bass is like in the mid range. It's really weird. It's like the center of the mix is really mid rangey and like muffled and boxy sounding. And I'm not really sure what's causing it. Because all those like rhythmic riff, you know, the rhythmic riffage, it's like boom, 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 boom. But it's almost like the bass is like way overdriven and way too mid range. Like when I want to hear a little bit more of the sub. And with metal, especially like high gain guitars, I'll typically cut out like 60, 50, 70 hertz and lower. I know that cuts into the actual fundamental range of the guitar, but when you're using high drive, sometimes that bottom end just makes the mix sound a little frumpy. And then what I do is I use that hole in the guitar part that's filtered out in the low end to sort of carve a space for the sub frequencies to go. That's where the bass needs to go. So I would think maybe try to think about it that way. That bass, you got to fix that bass, because I think that's the main issue with the mix. Like, I think a lot of the other issues in the mix can be solved by fixing that bass tone. To quote my old bass player from my old jazz band, when we would do practice rehearsals, he had a little cheap Behringer practice amp because he didn't want to bring his whole like stack out. And we described the Behringer as having a farty tone. That's the tone I'm hearing from the bass. So that's the main thing. The second thing is your soloing is great. You're obviously a great player. I would drop your gain on your leads a little bit. You know, I would, especially right here, I'd rather hear this whole lead with the gain down like 2 steps, like a little bit more of the natural tone of the guitar through. But yeah. And also like, so you can see I'm going back and forth between, is it the drums? Is it the bass? I think maybe even the kick drum on the kit, if you went in with some sample replacement or layering and used a tighter, brighter kick and sort of blend, like you don't have to completely bring out your natural kick. Leave it in like 50%, but then add another sample that's got some hard punch to it. That's really going to help to accent some of those rhythms, those sort of chuggy guitar rhythms. But again, you've got to go back to that bass and lower it and fix the tone on it, because it to me the bass is what is a detriment to the mix here. So cool song, needs some mix work. All right, the last two are going to be Blackthorn Shuffle and the Boogeyman. I'm sorry we're not going to get to Lucky John Sinclair. You can resubmit for next week. So let's go to Blackthorn Shuffle from Boss Conductor. Hi, Music Tech Help Guy, Honin the Librarian here. This is a ska band from Ireland called the Piziogs, recorded live in one take. I mixed and mastered this in Logic Pro. Awesome. So it's a live recording. Let's give it a listen. I am also Irish, if you can't tell from my last name, but I have not been back to the I have not been to the motherland. One of these days I'll get over to Ireland. Cool. I mean, for a live recording that was done in one take, that's pretty damn good. This song is so happy. I mean, it's so simple, but it's really fun. I mean, the horn sound is great for a live horn sound. That's really fantastic. Just a few minor like mix tweaks. I would bring your horn, like the horn main ideas down like 2 dB and then bring the skank guitar up 2 dB. The solos are fine. Like the horn solos are totally fine. The only thing I would say is like one of the problems with live mixing, if you've never done like a live mix, is that you have to think about, okay, there's two ways I can do this. I can mix it like a studio recording where I'm free to move anything around in the stereo field in any way I want, versus live recordings where you're often mimicking the positions on the stage, because in a lot of situations, the live mix may be synced up with a live video, you know? And so my last comment was horns seem to be a little right-leaning, probably because they were stage right or audience right. Stage right meaning left as you look at the stage, right as you're standing on the stage, or audience right, which is going to be the right side of the stage from the audience perspective. And often in the room, you'll have a stereo pair capturing the whole stage. So when you do have that, then, you know, you have to kind of stick with, you know what I mean? Your left mic is pointing at stage right, and your right mic is pointing at stage left, right? So it gets a bit tricky because, you know, if I was mixing this, I would double up the, you know, as a studio recording, I would double up the skank guitar parts, make them kind of left and right, and then I would spread the horns out. You know, I'd have like one horn in the center, one on the left, one on the right. The two that harmonize with each other the most, maybe stick those a little more left and right. But the problem with live recordings is you have to deal with like bleed and noise from the other mics. So in those situations, sometimes you can't just throw an instrument that was on the right side of the stage over on the left side of the mix because of phase issues, you know, or because maybe you're syncing this up with video later. But overall, it's a good mix, good live mix. The horn sounds are great. Just a couple of minor adjustments. So. All right, last but not least, we have the Boogeyman from Flymer. Let's give it a listen.
The boogie, the boogie, the boogie, the boogie.
It's close to midnight, and something is lurking in the dark. It's from Zimbabwe and over, all over Africa. Children are starving, people are dying. The world is under the curse of the boogeyman known as the politician. We are doomed tonight. We all must stay inside. We are doomed tonight. We should stay inside before the boogeyman strike. We are doomed tonight. We all must stay inside. We are doomed tonight. We should stay inside before the boogeyman strike. It's close to sunrise, and something is moving in the park. It's close to sunlight. That's something is tearing us apart. We start to breathe.
So like the track is cool. I like the backing track, but like I would definitely consider these vocals as just like a quick demo just to get some ideas down. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I do it myself. Sometimes I'll screech out a bad vocal on a track just so I remember the melody and the lyrics for later. You've got these like brooding lyrics, like we're doomed tonight. And I think you need a completely different type of singer for this, and a completely different vocal performance that matches this better. These vocals are completely out of tune. They don't sound like they're sung with much confidence, and the vocal tone is not great either. It doesn't really match the the boogeyman, this brooding, we are doomed tonight, I think you could have like a big, like descending, like minor melody where each note gets latched onto in the melody with that line, we are doomed tonight, so really rethink the vocals here. I would, unless, again, I would think about this as you laid down a scratch vocal, send this over to someone else who's a good singer and really like have them maybe put their own swing on it, work with a collaborator. As I've said before, I am not a great singer. There's certain songs where I sound pretty good on, but the vast majority of them I don't. And so that's why I always work with other vocalists, because I am aware of my limitations, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Closing all our eyes, we start to freeze, preparing your demise. It's close to midnight, and something. We are doomed tonight. We all must stay inside. We are doomed tonight. We should stay inside before the boogeyman strike. We are doomed tonight. We all must.
Yeah, that hook is like going to be, with these vocals, is not going to work, It says final master, but I wouldn't call this your final master. I'd call this a vocal demo to get the idea, We are doomed tonight. We are doomed tonight. We like, again, I'm not a great singer, but you've got to really make sure that you're driving the point home and that the vocal matches the character of what you're singing about,
Inside, we are doomed tonight. We should stay inside before the boogeyman strike.
Same thing. It's like you've got these brooding horror themed vocals and lyrics, but you've got to find a vocalist that works. So I'm going to stop there just because it's already 8:09, but I would find a way to shorten the track. I would find a way to maybe, take this idea and make this music, this instrumental idea, make this like your verse or your chorus or something, and then come up with two other sort of contrasting sections that break up the monotony a bit, because so far we're like almost 5 minutes in, and it's pretty much 4 minutes in, and it's pretty much the same beat with a few changes. And what I would consider, I'm sorry, no offense, but I would consider that to be a bad vocal performance. I would think of this as the start of an idea, song in progress, and that is a demo vocal idea you've laid down. So definitely find another vocalist to work with. who can bring out these horror themed, brooding, lyrics, and then rearrange things so that it's not so repetitive. So I'd go back to the drawing board in terms of the writing and the vocal recording. All right, cool, guys. That's all I have for. That's all I have time for today. Once again, thank you so much for coming. Next week I'll be at NAMM all week. So if you're at NAMM and you want to come say hi, I will be at the Ska booth, which is booth 1. Let me hang on before I say the wrong thing. Let's find it here. I will be at the Ska booth at booth 18313. So if you want to come say hi, you are more than welcome to. I'd love to meet you. The Ska booth. So if you're not familiar with Ska, this is a company I do some contract work for. I manage their YouTube channel. And we have some really awesome live and wireless audio products and pro audio products from Electrotech, Truly, and Dillinger Labs. I'm going home on the 25th, so I won't be there on the 25th, but the 22 on Media Day, 23 and 24, I'll be around doing YouTube, NAMM coverage of the show. So please stop by and say hi. If I'm not there, just come back. I'm sure I'll be kind of floating around there. So next week, we're not going to have a stream. The week after that, we are going to have a stream. I think it's the very last day of the month is the last Friday of the month. So as always, thank you so much, everyone, for participating in these streams. And a big thanks to Boombox for sponsoring the stream and making this all happen. Remember, you can sign up for a pro or premium account at boombox.io using my affiliate link in the video description below. All right, guys. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Or if you're going to NAMM, I'll see you at NAMM. See you later. Bye.